how can I guarantee the success of the liquidation? This is a question that sometimes gets put to us, and it was put to me quite recently by a prospective client. And ultimately, the issue is confusing, because what do we mean by the success of the liquidation? Do we mean that the company will go into liquidation? Do we mean that the directors will not be investigated? Do we mean that if the directors are investigated, that they will escape disqualification? Or do we mean that if there has been director misconduct, that there can be no comeback for the director if such an event has transpired? And ultimately, what we would take this question to mean is that if there has been some form of misconduct, that the liquidation will not result in any unwelcome issues for the director. Now, this is a problem, because ultimately we all know that there's a risk with everything. There's only certainties in life is death and taxes, and that if you cross the road, there is a risk. If you go into liquidation, there is a risk that if there has been misconduct, that you will be essentially investigated, and those matters will be addressed by the Insolvency Service. They might be addressed by the liquidator, depending on the circumstances, and so on. But you've got to bear in mind, if a company needs to go into liquidation and it doesn't go into liquidation, and it continues to trade, and the situation gets worse, then basically there can be additional risks that the directors are taking in the form of things like wrongful trading, misfeasant trading, and so on, which they can be personally liable for those elements of wrongful trading and misfeasant trading if they continue to trade when they shouldn't be doing. So simply not going to liquidation does not avoid the risks. Ultimately, a director who has engaged in misconduct can dispose of the company, but they cannot dispose of their misconduct. It's a completely separate issue. Misconduct that will ultimately come back to essentially bite a director in a welcome way depends on the nature of that misconduct, whether it's technical misconduct or whether it is actually causing creditors' loss. There are a whole range of factors that come into play. The director's personal circumstances can be a factor as well, of course, and there are no real hard and fast rules. And anybody who suggests otherwise is simply not talking the reality of the situation, I'm afraid. Questions, queries, concerns, give us a shout. We know Insolvency inside out.